Hi, my name is Enda Murray. I'm the director of the Irish Film Festival. Tonight, I'm delighted to be joined by John Carlin, the director of Lie of the Land, and actor Ali White, who plays Kath Ward, and Nigel O'Neill, who plays her husband, Matthew. You're all very welcome, lads. How's it going?
Hello, great. Nice to meet you.
Going well. Nice to meet you. Hello, Australia.
Yes.
I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and I'm delighted to screen it. Tell us, John. We start with you. What was the genesis of this film? How did it evolve? Where did the idea come from originally?
Basically, the writer of the film, Tara Hegarty, came up with this idea a number of years ago, and she wrote it as a radio play to start off with. And she comes from a farming background, so she wrote the story sort of based around her own upbringing and things like that. And the way that the world's actually going at the moment, I mean, I know that there's agriculture is huge in Ireland, but they're having problems at the moment, you know, with the cost of feed and stuff's going up, and the cost of equipment's going up, and they're not actually getting back much money. So it's a kind of current story in this world where they're finding hardship. And Tara has sort of touched on something that actually is happening, which is, scams. People are getting scammed all the time. And it is happening now in Ireland, where there have been a few stories where people have gone in and basically scammed farmers as well, because they're desperate to get out of debt. So, this is something that's actually based in reality.
And whereabouts is the film set? How did you find that location?
The location. So basically, I was brought on board in November of 2022, and then we basically had to shoot in February. So we had a very short turnaround. We had 5 full weeks of prep for this film, but we found that location with one of the producers, Chris, found it on just basically doing a search for housing. So we went on to just the estate agent websites, and on the 28th of December, so it was snowy outside, we found this location in Ballymena, which is about sort of 20 minutes from where I live. And we just thought it was perfect. And in fact, what was quite interesting about it is that the original script that we had at that stage didn't really have the story going outside into other areas, into the farmyard and into outhouses. It was just because we found a location that had those buildings that we decided to try and shape the script within the sort of 5-week period, try and rewrite it to go, right, let's try and use as much of this location as we possibly can.
Did you actually burn the house down in the end? I have to ask that question.
No, luckily not. No, because we had a brilliant special effects team on set. So whenever you saw that one of the most defining scenes in the film there, where Ali has the gun and she's looking down the barrel, and a big ball of flame comes out behind her, that's real. So we had a special effects team on set doing that. But then the windows upstairs that are burning, that's digital effects. So they were added in afterwards. But we spent a lot of time and money trying to sort of get that right, because it's really important to the story that, Ali is seeing her house burning down. This is something that's dear to her.
Yeah, it looks great. Hey, Ali, could you tell us how you got involved in the project?
Well, I did a self-tape after reading the script, and I mean, as soon as I read the script, I just loved the story, loved the characters, loved the whole premise, and put down a self-tape and into the ether the way you do, and was absolutely thrilled to be invited to join the project. So it was as simple as that, really.
And what was the most challenging part of making the shoot for the film?
Well, it's funny you're asking, did we actually burn down the house at the end of the shoot? You kind of would have wanted to. It was such a, you read stories where the the location or the house is like a character in itself, and the place where we shot that old farm really was. I mean, it almost had a mind of its own. It was very damp, very pretty challenging place to be. I'm sure there was mold and all kinds of spores going on, and a few of us got wild coughs and colds while working there. So I suppose just the kind of, and it was February in Northern Ireland, so it was cold, wet, damp, dark. But crew and the company were so great that that lifted it all up. And I'd say just the physical location was tough. And then we had a great stuntman who helped us get to grips with all the being knocked over fighting. Though I think I got off pretty lightly in comparison, especially to Abe Smith, who when I watch the film again, I'm just conscious of how much time that man spends lying on the wet ground. So I suppose those were the main challenges for me.
Great. And Nigel, I wanted to come to you. How much time did you actually have to rehearse before you went into the shoot?
Well, the nature of these sort of type of films is you usually don't have a lot of time to rehearse. Sometimes you're lucky, you might get a chance, whatever. But we had a few days beforehand to practice some work with the stunt coordinator, as Ali said there. Lemmy I think that's his name, Lemmy. And so we got to jump around on mattresses and jump up and down things, and at my age, it's more interesting to do all them sort of things nowadays. It's great to try all them things, but no, we had the script. I would say it must have been 3-4 weeks in advance, as far as I remember, and we just worked on that. And then if there's any questions, we would ring John and talk to John or whatever. But I don't think we had any rehearsal time, as far as I remember, anyway.
No.
But we just in the deep end.
So that's interesting. There's you touched on the acting and at your age, because I noticed that there was some feedback about the film which commented upon the fact that the wards were at the point of their lives where they were hoping to retire, and we don't see too many films which central characters of that age. What was your thoughts on that, Nigel?
No, that was a cool thing about the film. You know what I mean? The fact that the couple, but they were doing all these things that were, they were using guns and they were running around to outsmart the bad guy. You know what I mean? So that was really cool, I thought. And I think there needs to be more films where the older people are the heroes as such. You know what I mean? So, so that's something you don't see an awful lot of. You usually get the young, good-looking, whatever, who's the heroes. But in this case, we had the elderly couple. Sorry, mature couple. Right, I don't like using that word.
Sure, Nigel.
Mature, exactly, mature couple. Yeah, exactly. Who pulled together really well and get it all. They outsmart him at the finish up, which is great.
Ali, did you find any feedback on the film? Was there anything that caught your eye in terms of what people were saying about it that you maybe hadn't thought of at the time?
Well, I find it interesting, like friends of mine who came to the Belfast screening, and that whole thing of the paranoia that there must be for these elderly people in living in isolated farms, everywhere in the world, I'm sure in Australia as well. And kind of, they had the wards have kind of pretty rudimentary technology in their house, and just how isolated people like that can become, especially, neighbors of mine came to see the film who come from, backgrounds not dissimilar to the wards. And, it was very pertinent for them to see a story about people really cut off. I mean, the wards deliberately cut themselves off as the time comes for Shepherd to to well, to remove them, to bring them to a better life. But that really brought home to me the reality that people like that are facing. And you know, I travel around Ireland all the time, and I'm much more conscious when I pass isolated farms and farmhouses of, you know, of the people who live there, and just how difficult it must be these days.
Yeah. John, can I come back to you? What for you was the most enjoyable aspect of making Lie of the Land?
I suppose there's quite a few really, but you know, the most important thing is that this was my first feature film. It was the writer's first feature film and the producer's first feature film. So it was that kind of going into the unknown was the enjoyable. You know, we've only ever made short films before, and just being able to build our team and having, you know, such a brilliant team around you in the end up, that was probably the most enjoyable thing, you know, for me as a filmmaker. But what was also very enjoyable was just working with such a, you know, a close-knit cast. We were all in that one location for 3 weeks. We had 18 days to shoot. And we basically lived on that farm. In the original script, there were a couple of other scenes that were filmed, you know, at other places, but we actually narrowed all those down and tried to just keep the story on this piece of land as much as we could. And it was just fun being able to go up and chat with my cast constantly, you know, in between. Anytime we were doing setups for downstairs for the stunts or for special effects, I could just go upstairs, and there was a wee room upstairs just dedicated for the cast, which they just lived in. And we could just sit there and chat about ideas and how we were going to sort of approach the next scene. Because we didn't have rehearsal times, you know, these moments were crucial to sort of understand where our characters were and their story and what emotions we were trying to tell in that next scene that was about to shoot. So that was probably the most enjoyable thing, you know, when it came to making the film itself. And of course, when you have explosions and guns and things as well, you know, that's always a lot of fun, to be honest, doing things like that.
And there's a lot of films coming out of Northern Ireland. We just had the preview of Kneecap here last week. You got some support from when you were making the film in Northern Ireland. John, I was just going to ask you.
So this is a scheme. It's called New Talent Focus, and as I say, this is sort of the first time for a director, a writer, and producer to make a film. And Northern Ireland Screen make, you know, 2 or 3 of these films every year, where they give somebody a shot. And it's extremely low budget, and it's a very, very tight turnaround. I only got the job late November. We were shooting it in February, and then we had it finished for July. So it's, you know, it is intense, but it's brilliant. It's so rewarding. You know, not many filmmakers get this kind of opportunity to really go out there and just make a feature film. And that's Northern Ireland Screens have been very supportive of me all the way through my career, in fact, because all the short films I've made leading up to this point were all funded by Northern Ireland Screen as well. And I just think that the Irish film industry as a whole of Ireland is just really booming the last few years. Even we've seen things in the Oscars as well, you know, Banshees of Inisherin and stuff. It's just getting stronger and stronger. And Northern Ireland, you know, hasn't had the Oscar nods as such in recent years, but they have one of the best crews in the world. They're absolutely world class. They got trained from the likes of Game of Thrones and things like that. We have an outstanding crew, and our, you know, actors are famous all around the world as well. So we're finally getting a chance to sort of show our own voices now with our own teams and take our films around the world.
Great. Hey, Nigel, I was going to ask you, what was your most enjoyable memory from the production?
It was just a nice, a really lovely job, you know, if you can call it a job. But I mean, you even every day it was just a joy to see where it would take you. You know what I mean? All the stunts and all was good fun. Your man Lenny had us jumping on these things, you know, running, shooting guns, and then jumping on these big mattresses and all, as if we're falling into holes and stuff. So it was all it was all good fun and all that. But there was no. It was all just many different challenging things. Challenging, not really challenging, but just more fun more than anything. And it was easy. Like John, I've worked with John before a couple of times. I hadn't met Ali before, and Ali and me just seemed to click right away, which was great. And John and I had done a couple of films before together, short films before, so it was easy to work with John. John and I seem to get on okay, and it seems to work okay. So it's never a struggle, you know what I mean? So we sort of understand each other, and he's not trying to beat me around the head to try and make me do something properly, So, but no, it was great. And as I say, like John's 20 minutes from it, I was 45 minutes from it. So it was bizarre that we're going to make a movie 45 minutes from where I live. You know what I mean? That's unheard of. But it was there's just so many different moments in it, in the whole film throughout that was just great. I can't. There's too many to define them, but it was all good, really enjoyable.
Cool. Ali, for you, what was were there any moments that stick in your memory that you really enjoyed in the making of the film?
Well, I mean, as Nigel says, I think it was just the chemistry between all of us, and Abe and Barry as well. The four of us were a really tight gang, just from very early on. Just instantly got on, and John and Margaret, and the whole team was fantastic, really brilliant. I mean, I got to do things like I milked a cow. I'd never milked. And even from the very first, the first scene that we filmed was myself and Nigel herding a group of cows into a back of a truck, which was quite having waved at cows in fields, but I'd never really been up close and personal with them before. So that was pretty memorable as scene one, take one. And I got on very well with Bridie, the main cow. Actually, I liked her a lot. And then one of the last scenes I did was milking Bridie. So that was quite a highlight for me. And apparently I wasn't half bad at it. So so if the acting dries up, maybe there's another career there.
Nigel, I was going to say you make a very impressive farmer. Did you reach into any depths there to pull out that farming psyche?
I live in the country, you see, so I see farmers every day, and they're characters in themselves. You know what I mean? So you always hear them shouting at cattle and doing all them sorts of things. So it was great. No, I wouldn't know what to do on a farm, but just observing. I've played farmers before and different things, but this was a different type of farmer, but more of a vulnerable type of farmer. But no, as I say, surrounded by them here, and I see them most days out and about. So you have plenty to draw on.
John, have you got anything in the pipeline? Any ideas for another project?
I have a script at the moment that I'm currently working on, and it's with a writer I've worked with in the past, and it's another feature film. So hopefully, I'm at a stage where I'm just trying to get producers on board in order to get funding to develop the script. But this could be a 2-year, 3-year process before I actually get out there and do something again, unless a script lands on my knee that's already greenlit. But yeah, I'm always looking for the next thing, and another thriller, another 70s style thriller is what I'm currently working on.
Great. Guys, thanks a million for taking the time to talk to us. Good luck with Lie of the Land. And Slán agus banach.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.